Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Ask Dr. Frankie, where I cover on a weekly basis different topics that have come up in my own private practice or have come up in matchmaking. People have submitted questions. Pat, like often people will ask similar questions. So I'll try to cover a video, give you as many tools and skills that you can apply to your life and hopefully see good results. So we're going to cover a great topic today. Before I jump into that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a clinical psychologist, been practicing for over 2 decades. Pretty crazy to think it's been that long. I don't feel like it's been that long, but I think it's because I just absolutely love what I do. I get to support folks like you in living healthier, happier, fuller lives. So, like, really, what more could I ask for in this lifetime, right? So, yeah, it's been quite some time. And in the last several years, I got board certified as a sex therapist because, of course, love, romance, relationships, interpersonal stuff, everything, right? A lot of it ties into intimacy and sex. So I thought, well, why not get board certified as a sex therapist? So I also have that on my tool belt to help support all of you around. I know some of these topics can be really racy for folks, and but I really just cover everything that I think is important to talk about that might be happening behind the scenes that people are curious about and want to learn more about. And if they can get a professional opinion or something that is actually science-based, a lot of the talks that I do are informed by research, empirical data and studies. So, why not put that out there and help folks really better understand themselves and how to navigate difficult situations or even their curiosities to further explore them with some knowledge and tools to make it easier. So yeah, definitely subscribe. I'm here every Thursday covering another topic. And we also have a podcast where we have amazing experts and guests on a weekly basis, and it's called Love, Laughs, and Lessons. So subscribe here, and you'll get to see the minute it gets released, whether it be my talk, Ask Dr. Frankie, or Love, Laughs, and Lessons. You're going to have access to it. It'll notify you. There's a little bell beneath the screen that you can click as well and click all notifications, and you'll be notified right when it gets released. And if you're single, I'm a professional matchmaker. I'm the CEO and founder of Little Gay Book and Little Black Book Matchmaking. So if you're queer, visit littlegaybook.com. If you're heterosexual, visit littleblackbookmatchmaking.com and fill out a free profile. If you are serious about finding a partner and you are relationship minded and you're really like you're a professional, you're moving and shaking, it doesn't even matter how old you are, as long as you're taking good care of yourself, you're healthy, mind, spirit, body, you're nurturing yourself, you're engaged in life, you're curious, your glass is half full, and you want to meet somebody who's like-minded, who also wants to find a partner to go have fun with, get in our database, schedule a call with us, and we're happy to give you a complimentary call and chat with you all about how we do what we do. So yeah, don't hesitate, reach out. We'd like to get to know you and figure out how we can support you. All right, with all of that said, I'm just going to dive into today's topic, which is 5 tips for planning your lesbian wedding. And boy, would we love to help you get matched so that we can celebrate with you at your lesbian wedding. So definitely reach out to us. So wedding bells are ringing and you and your partner are getting ready to get married. Oh my gosh, so, so exciting. It's exciting to be finally planning the lesbian wedding of your dreams, right? But that doesn't mean it isn't without challenges. Wedding planning is a complex and sometimes triggering process for everyone. And planning a lesbian wedding has some unique hurdles that straight people don't have to think about necessarily. Where should you even start? Well, I'm going to share with you what I recommend keeping in mind when planning your lesbian wedding today and right now. Get on the same page about everything. Yes, I said everything. Communication is always key. As you know, it's like a through line in so much that I talk about here is communication in every way is key. But planning a wedding is one of the truest tests of you and your partner's ability to collaborate and talk through issues. In many ways, being able to successfully plan a wedding with your relationship intact is a fest. I mean, a fest is a test of whether you're ready to actually get married. Weddings are essentially big, complicated parties, often over multiple locations that hundreds of people travel across the country to attend. This would be complicated enough, even without the emotional triggers related to commitment and family looming in the background. While some stressors are inevitable, what will be enormously helpful is getting to a place of agreement on the major issues in your relationship. The details might change, but if you know the main things that are really most important to you, it's easier to stay in alignment with your partner. Some important places to actually agree are priorities. What's the most important element that has to be perfect? Is it that you want perfect photos taken in exactly the style you imagine to remember this day forever? Or are you most invested in the first dance and making sure the music and the moment is flawless? Is it about budget? What's your goal and what's your absolute limit? Money is always hard to talk about, but clarifying what you think, if what you think you can conservatively set aside for the wedding is imperative, right? Because you may not be on the same page with that. You want to make sure, again, money, so important to have these conversations. If anyone's family is helping to pay for the wedding, it's important to talk about that and what it entails. Does that family member get more of a say in what the wedding actually looks like because they're contributing financially? Does that mean the wealthier family gets to bring more attendees? These are tough conversations, but it's so crucial to actually have them. Size. Who absolutely needs to come? Your budget may say that you can only comfortably host 60 people, while your large, tight-knit, extended family may suggest a guest list of 150. And what about your venue? Can it fit everyone? Deciding on a clear scope of your guest list is a key decision to make early on in the wedding process and will help clarify every other decision you make as you're planning the wedding altogether. Consider whether you want to hire a planner or a coordinator. Many people plan their own weddings or rely on friends and end up having great weddings. They don't necessarily need a wedding planner. They may also find themselves very stressed out by the end of the process, though. While all-inclusive wedding planning can be prohibitively expensive, it may be worth hiring someone to do at least some planning and take some of the logistics off of your plate. After all, time is money, and an experienced wedding planner may be able to save you some money through their connections and relationships with other vendors. So definitely something to consider. Even if you don't have a wedding planner, depending on what you're planning for a wedding day, it may be worth it to hire a day of coordinator to manage things on site the day of your ceremony and reception. It's a priceless experience to be able to focus fully on the most important day of your life and be entirely present in that moment. Trusting that someone else is managing the flowers, the caterer, photographer, the flower girl, and letting the bar know to discreetly cut your uncle off after 3 drinks might be a nice relief so that you can just really enjoy all the festivities and connecting with the guests. What's the biggest complaint you hear, right? I hear at least from people getting married is that the night went by so fast. There was so much that they were juggling and it went so quickly. They weren't able to actually connect with people that they really love and care about. And we're so glad we're there. So maybe that would help. Feel free to be traditional or not. Even a decade into federally legalized same-sex marriage in the United States, it's normal for us to feel like our wedding carry different connotations or expectations than those of straight people. We may feel nervous about whether our wedding is queer enough, worrying that we're catapulting into some sort of heterosexual tradition if we wear a white dress or exchange default vows. Alternatively, we may struggle with the inverse, feeling like we need to go the extra mile to feel that our union is legitimate in the eyes of friends, family, and the state. That's before even getting into figuring out what wedding attire feels appropriate to our gender expression, or financing a wedding when we may have a lower level of family support than our straight counterparts. While the vision for your wedding is ultimately very personal, my advice would be to try to let go of thoughts about what your wedding should be as much as possible. I always talk about the should, like eliminating should, would, could. Just get those out of your vocabulary. You'll never be able to control how others will perceive you or your relationship. And feeling an obligation for your wedding to function as a political statement is a lot of pressure to put on yourself. What brings you the most joy when you imagine it? What makes you feel the most trepidatious? I would use those as your compass and let your wedding be deeply personal and pleasurable to you. Whether that means wearing a frothy, bedazzled white wedding dress or a set of overalls and docks with your hair dyed blue. It's your choice. You get to make that decision. Make a plan for managing family and friends. The rich tapestries of personalities and dynamics that come at any major event like a wedding is always one of the most complicating elements to manage. What if your uncle drinks too much alcohol? What if your friends from college don't actually get along with your childhood best friend? When planning a lesbian wedding, there are also other layers of concern. Are your straight family members going to be able to behave appropriately and respectfully at a lesbian wedding without making rude remarks or asking invasive questions? Will your queer or trans wedding guests face microaggressions from the straight cis guests? These are all valid concerns and something worth planning for. When making your guest list, talk honestly about anyone you're inviting that may be a cause of concern. If your right-wing cousin feels like a risky guest, it's worth discussing with your partner whether to leave them off the guest list altogether. If your great aunt absolutely has to be invited because she's paying for a significant portion of the wedding, but you're worried about her saying something quite inappropriate to your gender non-conforming spouse, it's worth it to have a direct, constructive conversation with her before the wedding. You can also use spaces like your wedding website or any mass email to manage expectations for guests. One tip to include is any notes about pronouns or bathroom usage in your wedding or event planning communications. Setting expectations for what bathrooms will be available, how to treat someone you may think is in the wrong bathroom, and or how to refer to people you don't know at the wedding. Expect the unexpected. There are so many moving parts when it comes to a wedding. Your venue could cancel on you 3 months before. Your maid of honor could get COVID the week of the wedding. You could break your arm during your bachelorette rock climbing weekend. Your caterer's generator could get stolen off the street in the middle of your ceremony. This actually really happened, by the way. Unfortunately, there's truly no amount of planning or foresight that can guarantee your special day and the months leading up to it, in fact. Goes without a hitch, right? Some things usually come up. Hopefully, it's going to be something small. Many things are out of our control despite our best efforts. What you can do is plan for the worst by making backup plans, like an alternate indoor venue option if it rains for your outdoor ceremony, hiring a planner or coordinator who can run point on making any last minute executive decisions so you can focus on your wedding and being present, staying connected to your priorities. If you know that what matters most to you is your aging parents being able to see you marry your spouse, then it's easier to let go of the fact that the flowers didn't turn out exactly the way that you had hoped. And that's what I got for you today. So hopefully this is helpful. Lots of things to consider. And again, if you're single out there and you're like, wow, it would be really wonderful to be in a position where I could even be planning a wedding with my partner, reach out to us. Definitely get in touch with us. We want to be able to support you on your dating journey. And we've been doing it a long time. So we're experts in that area. So I would love to learn more about you. And you know where to find us. You can see it in the notes below. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care of yourself. Get outside. Get some sunlight wherever you are in the world. Kisses, hugs. I'm grateful for you. Take care, everyone.